as we get closer to the end of the semester, you're going to have some little things to do, like these little projects, and you're going to have some homework to do. And my advice to you would be to get it done as soon as you can, so that way, as we start moving towards the end of April, we want to be focused on the nervous system, because that's like the new stuff that's going to be on the final. And so all this stuff about muscles and bones, all this extra stuff like the PowerPoint project, and then you're going to have two homework assignments that's associated with muscles. Try to get them done soon, okay? Because the less you have to worry about later, the better. I mean, one of these homework assignments, I just put a due date of the end of the semester, okay? And you can wait. You don't have to turn it in until May 13th, so you can work on it however you want to. It's just you want to kind of use your time wisely, as far as just remember that you're going to be preparing for a final as well. So one of the things that I put up here for you to do is similar to the bone information, like the chapter that talks about what is bone, different types of bone, and then you had like the joints and stuff. You had the take home, right? The take home part that's due tonight. Well, there's something similar to that for the muscles. It's not going to be part of the test. It's going to be a homework assignment, but it's very similar. That you have 25 questions, and you just got to answer those 25 questions and submit it. And so right here, if you see underneath exam 3, the folder, there's a folder that says muscle A&P homework. And I put a due date of Thursday, May 13th, which is the very last day of the semester. So you have over a month to do it. You just don't want to forget about it, okay? And ideally try to get it done fairly soon, so that way you don't have to worry about it later. But if you go inside there, it's going to be a little bit different than the bone take home stuff, okay? That one you worked on little by little through Blackboard and through like a test type deal. This one is more like a paper homework assignment, where you can print off the paper and answer your questions. And then all I need from you is an answer sheet with your answer choices. Okay, it's multiple choice. And so here I put a little video on how to do it, but I'll go ahead and explain it to you right now. Right here in this folder is the PowerPoints and notes that will help you answer the questions. And you can use whatever you want. You can use the internet if you think that'll help you out, whatever. But it's based on this information here. So you should be able to find most, if not all, of the answers in these PowerPoints and these notes. But there's a PowerPoint and notes that is kind of geared towards muscle anatomy, like the types of muscle and what is a muscle cell and things like that. And then the muscle physiology is more like how do muscles contract, types of muscle contraction, things like that. So you'll use these notes and these PowerPoints, and the homework assignment is 25 questions. They're all multiple choice. It's right here where it says muscle A&P homework due Thursday, May 13th. And so when you click on that, it's a Word document or a PDF. So it's a PDF that you'll want to print out and work on, okay? Little by little, answer questions. But there's 25 questions total. Find the answer, and then you can write your answer over there to the side. Now, you don't turn this in, okay? You don't turn in this document. All I need from you is your answers, okay? So I made a little answer sheet that's right above the homework assignment, right here where it says muscle homework answer sheet. And it basically is just, it's numbered 1 through 25. So print this off. And then, if your answer for number 1 is C, then just put a C there. If your answer for number 2 is D, and your answer for number 3 is A, whatever, You just fill this out, okay, with your answers, and then that's what you're going to submit. Just submit me the answers: C, D, A, B, C, A, A, C, C, D, A, A, and that way I can just grade it pretty quickly. But like I said, it's not due until May 13th. You can finish it this weekend if you want to, or you can wait until May 13th. It doesn't matter. But I'll grade it whenever I receive it from you. And so everybody kind of, oh, don't say, everybody kind of understand that? That's just a little extra folder right there, muscle A&P homework. And then whenever you submit it right there. Muscle A&P homework submission. So all that is in this folder. It's underneath course content. It's underneath exam 3, muscle A&P homework, due Thursday, May 13th. So you got a lot of time to do it. You can finish it whenever you want. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
All right. As far as the test coming up, we're going to learn some specific muscles. Okay. Now there's over 700 in the body. You know, well, they usually say over 600. They'll usually put it the total between like 600 and 700. It just depends. Nobody really has a good idea because it depends on what you're counting as a muscle. Because sometimes you have these little tiny muscles that are like in between your vertebrae. Are you counting each one of those little tiny things as an individual muscle, or are you just counting them all as one muscle? Stuff like that. And so what I did was I chose 25 specific muscles that I want you to learn. And once again, I wanted to do 2 things with it. One, I wanted to focus more on the muscles that you hear a lot about, muscles that you may even be familiar with, muscles that you can see on a person. You know, not all these little muscles that you might see here and there, but some of the most well-known muscles is what I wanted to focus on. And then I also wanted to have representatives of groups of muscles, because muscles are designed to work in groups. And so what I did was I went through like the muscle groups. Like you have a group of muscles that are called facial expression muscles. They're muscles in your face, and they allow you to do all the different facial expressions that you can do. So that's the group. And then I chose certain muscles from that group. And that's the ones I want you to know specifically. You have a group of muscles that help you to move your jaw. Okay. They help you to chew food. And the fancy word for chewing is mastication. And so we call these muscles of mastication. All right. They're the muscles that help you move your jaw. And I chose one of those to represent that group. You got muscles in your neck. I chose a group of that. You know, I chose a single muscle to represent that group. You've got muscles in your chest. You know, I chose a representative of that. And so I just kind of went through the body and picked out one muscle or maybe 2 to represent a particular group. For example, you've probably heard of calf muscles, you know, the muscles in the back of your leg. Those are called calf muscles. I chose one of those to be the representative. You may have heard of the quads in your thigh. I chose one of those. Hamstring muscles, that's a group of muscles. I chose one of those. And so I kind of went through the body and chose 25 muscles that I want you to know specifically. And those are the ones you're going to be tested on. As far as the lab is concerned, it's identification again. I show you a picture. The muscle will be highlighted. I ask you which muscle it is, and you answer, okay? The lecture test would be, I might describe the muscle to you. You know, this muscle's located here, and it does this, okay? And then you got to pick which muscle it is. And so once again, I don't think it's going to be that bad, especially if you have your stuff there with you, because it is open notes, right? It is open resources. And so you really shouldn't do bad at all on this next test. I expect everybody to do really well on this next test. But if you go into the exam 3, you have the module 3 information, and you've got the bones folder there, and then you have the muscles folder there. And inside the muscles folder, I kind of give you a little introduction there, which we're going to talk about this right now. And then down here towards the bottom, you have a table that lists the 25 muscles that you have to know. And then you can kind of write in information to help you learn. That usually when you talk about a muscle, there's 4 things you think of. It's going to start somewhere. It's going to be attached to a bone. And then it's going to travel to another bone. And so the bone where it starts is called the origin. And the bone that it attaches to, which is the bone that it actually moves, is called the insertion. So you got origins and insertions. And then you have, what does the muscle do? Does it flex the elbow? Does it extend the thigh? Okay. Now here's where you bring back those words that are on the take-home part of exam 2, where you had words like flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, elevate, depress, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, pronation, supination, things like that. And so the action is basically, what does it do? And then every muscle is controlled by a motor nerve. And so a lot of times when they give you information about muscles, they also put what nerve controls it, because a lot of times when somebody has issues with a muscle, it may not be a problem with the muscle. It may actually be a problem with the nerve that controls that muscle. And so that's kind of the 4 bits of information. Now, if you look into the PowerPoint that goes with the muscles, that's right here, PowerPoint, 25 muscles. You can get pretty much all the information you need for the test from this PowerPoint, because what I did was I put the picture that you'll be shown on the test, okay? And then over here, I give you those 4 bits of information. I give you the origin, where does the muscle start? I give you the insertion, and then I give you elevation of eyebrows, what does it do? And then what nerve controls it. So it's all right there. O means origin, I means insertion, A means action, and then N means nerve. So if you look at that opening information, it just kind of gives you a little blurb about muscles. And so it says there are over 700 muscles that have been named. Most are organized into groups. Okay, the word we use is synergistic. That means working together. And so, for example, the quads, it's actually 4 muscles. That's why they're called quads, 4. The full name is quadriceps femoris. But there's 4 muscles there that are working as a group, all right? And those muscles that are in the group are controlled by the same nerve, typically, all right? So all the muscles of the thigh, of the quad muscles, are all controlled by a nerve called the femoral nerve. And so I put there that, muscles are organized into groups or compartments that are controlled by the same nerve, and they work together to perform certain actions. In this lab, also the lecture, you learn 25 muscles. Many are representatives of a certain group, and by learning the one muscle, it can help you to understand the whole group, because they all do the same thing. For each muscle, there's 4 things you need to know. The origin is the attachment at the proximal end of the muscle, the beginning of the muscle. And that bone usually doesn't move when that muscle contracts, okay? The muscle is designed to move the insertion bone. The insertion is the attachment at the distal end, the end of the muscle, and that's what is moved by the muscle. For example, your biceps, which is right here, is a very well-known muscle, biceps brachii. Its origins are on the scapula, and so when your biceps contracts, it doesn't move the scapula. It inserts on the radius in the forearm. That's the bone that it moves when your biceps contracts. That's the insertion. The action is the movement performed, including what joint or body part is being manipulated, and then the N is what controls. And so here is kind of the break. It kind of shows you a little picture of a person there. And on the left side over here is what we call superficial muscles, which are muscles on the surface of the body. And most of the muscles that you have to learn are superficial muscles. I wanted to make it to the point where once you learn the muscles, you can look at a bodybuilder, sitting there flexing, and you can say, there's that muscle, there's that muscle, there's that muscle, there's that muscle. So most of the muscles that you have to know are visible on the surface and can be palpated. Okay, they can be felt. Over here are some deep muscles. There's a few deep muscles that I asked you to know, but not too many of them. Here kind of shows you the whole origin insertion deal. So basically, the origin is where the muscle begins. That part really doesn't move when that muscle contracts, and then the insertion is the bone that this muscle is going to actually move when it does its contraction. Contraction just means to shorten up, and skeletal muscles, which are the muscles we're talking about here, their job is to move bones or to move skin. And when they contract, they pull on something. And so whenever they pull on a bone, it's going to move that bone, and that's where you get the actions performed. I did put a recorded lectures from spring last year. So a year ago, I did lectures while I went through the PowerPoint. I went through the 25 muscles and talked about them. So you can always watch those videos if you want to. We're going to start on the 25 muscles Thursday. Okay, so we're going to pull up this PowerPoint. We're going to go through it, and we're going to talk about each individual muscle on Thursday. Down here, you got some muscle games you can play. Once again, Anatomy Arcade is there. And then there is a link right here talking about some of the muscles in your body. Just kind of a little interesting information down there. And some of the information that's in that link, we do talk about as we go through. Let's see. Here's a chapter. This is the actual chapter from the book. So it goes through. Now that chapter has like every possible muscle in the body. And so I just want you to focus on these 25. Now, when you look at the muscle names, and you may have kind of noticed that they got funky names. And they have the names kind of have this Latin flavor to it. I don't mean Latin as in like Spanish, South America, that kind of thing. I'm not talking about that. Okay, I'm talking about the original language of Latin that was spoken by like the Romans. All right, and so you know how Romans, the names are like Maximum Decimus Meridius and stuff like that. Julius Caesar. Well, you see that a lot with scientific names. Like for example, Homo sapiens, or dogs are Canis familiaris, and so you have a lot of is and us at the end of the words with muscles. They have that Latin flavor to them. Kind of reminds me of I don't know how many guys watch like Roadrunner cartoons. I used to watch them a lot when I was younger, but Roadrunner cartoons would start out. It would show the Roadrunner running real fast, and he would like freeze, and it would say like Roadrunner, and then in parentheses it would say Speedius Maximus or something like that, and then he would continue to run, and then Wile E. Coyote would run, and he would stop, and it would say Wile E. Coyote Stupidus Dummus or something like that. But that's kind of what it's kind of what the muscles sound like. You got Orbicularis Oculi, Buccinator. Some of these guys like Latissimus Dorsi, Rectus Abdominis. So those are the way we sort of name muscles. They have that flavor to them, but they're not named willy-nilly. Okay, there are reasons why they have the names that they have, and sometimes it's based on where they're located at or what they do. Like there's a muscle in your forearm. It's called flexor carpi. Carpi means carpal, wrist. Flexor carpi, that muscle flexes the wrist. That's why it's called flexor carpi, okay? And so that's the good thing about muscles is they're named what they're named for a reason. What we have to understand is, what do those words mean, okay? For example, here with rectus abdominis. Well, the abdominis part tells you where in the body it's located. It's located in the abdomen. The word rectus means straight. And so this is a straight muscle in your abdomen. So it's called rectus abdominis. The word trapezius means tabletop or trapezoid shape, essentially. Latissimus dorsi. Latissimus means widest or broadest muscle. And dorsi, dorsal, means back. So the word, the name Latissimus dorsi means widest muscle in the back. Quadratus lumborum. Quadratus means square or rectangle shaped. Okay, quadratus means four sides. And so quadratus means rectangle shaped. Lumborum means lumbar region, which means lower back. And so quadratus lumborum is a rectangular muscle in your lower back. That's why it's called quadratus lumborum. And so we need to learn what some of these words you're going to see mean. Okay. And so I made a little homework assignment to help you learn these muscle words and to learn what muscles on your list, at least most of them are, what muscles have those words in their name. And so if you look at, and this is a very easy homework assignment, very easy, and we'll actually be kind of doing this together. But if you go right here into the muscle word homework, it gives you a list of some of the words that you're going to see. So let's kind of go through these right now. And then once we go through these, we'll be done for today, and we'll pick up here on Thursday. But here it kind of gives you, it says, learning the names of the muscles can seem intimidating because they have weird names. They might be 10 or 20 letters long, the name. You might even have 2 or 3 words in the name of a muscle. But they're based on Greek and Latin, and many consist of root words. You have to understand what those root words mean. They're named what they're named for a reason, okay? Some of the things that might be included in a muscle name would be its appearance, like what does it resemble? Where's it located at? What does it do? Or unique characteristics or whatever else. Now down here in the table is some of the words you're going to see in these muscle names that we're going to be learning and what those words mean. What you need to do is find a muscle, and ideally, if you can use the muscles you have to know. Now, for some of these you can't, all right? But it just says, the word orbicularis means circular. So if a muscle is circular, it'll have orbicularis in its name. There's actually 2 muscles that are in the face that have the word orbicularis in their name. One of them is around the eye, and it's called orbicularis oculi. Ocular means eye. And there's one around your mouth called orbicularis oris. And so orbicularis just means circular. Sometimes you'll have 2 muscles. One will be larger than the other. They'll have the same first name, but then they'll be either major or minor, okay? For example, in the chest, you have what's called the pectoralis major, and then there's a smaller muscle underneath him called the pectoralis minor. The word major just means larger of 2 muscles. The word masticate means to chew. So one of the muscles you're going to learn is masseter, which means chewer. Clado means clavicle. Mastoid is talking about the mastoid process of the temporal bone, right behind the ear. The word rectus means straight. It's the same root word that we get for rectify, which means to straighten something out, right? If you're going to rectify something with, you're going to straighten it out. Rectangle means straight angles, all 90-degree angles. That's what's called a rectangle. It's where we get the word erect from. Erect means straight. Oblique means diagonal. That's nothing new. Trapezoid means shaped like a tabletop. Latissimus, I mentioned earlier, means widest or broadest. Deltoid means triangle or triangular shape because the Greek letter delta is a triangle. There's a triangular shaped muscle in your shoulder that's called the deltoid. It's called deltoid because it's triangle shaped. It's the Greek letter delta. Biceps means it has 2 heads or 2 origins. Triceps means it has 3 heads or 3 origins. Pollicis, there's no muscle in your list that you have to learn that has the word pollicis in there, but I went ahead and put it in there because I want you to remember that the pollex is the special name we give to the thumb. So any muscle that moves the thumb would be called something pollicis. Okay, it's part of it'll be in the name if it moves the thumb. Maximus means the largest of the group. Okay, you have a group of muscles in your butt. They're called gluteal muscles, and the biggest muscle down there is called the gluteus maximus, largest of a group. The word sartor means tailor, like a person who sews clothes. We're going to talk about this on Thursday. Ham means back of the knee. Nemi means leg. Holosis, remember hallux is big toe. The word palpebra means eyelid. One of the muscles in your list has the word palpebra because it moves the eyelid. The word intercostal means between the ribs. The word brevis or brevis means short. Same root word as be brief. You know, when you ask somebody to be brief or when you say brief, that means short. It also, the same root word is abbreviation. You know, when you abbreviate something, you shorten it up. Quadratus, I mentioned earlier, it means rectangular or triangle. And then the word sphincter means to squeeze. Okay. And so I wanted to get you acquainted with this idea that muscles are named what they're named for a reason. So when you come across the muscle name, no matter what muscle it is, just like the bones, you know, me as an anatomy teacher and as an anatomy student, I'm still a student of anatomy, right? I like to know why they're called what they're called. Why is this bone called this? Why, you know, and so that's why I put in your notes after each bone name, I put what does that word mean? Because it's good to know. Why do they call it that? Well, this is the same thing we're doing with the muscles. You know, why is that muscle called pectoralis major? Why is it called latissimus dorsi? And so as we go through them, we're going to talk about stuff like that. But I wanted to kind of get you, you know, thinking about this, that muscles are named what they're named for a reason, just like the bones were named what they're named for a reason. And so as long as we understand what these words mean, then it helps us to learn the muscles a little bit easier. So these words and what they mean will be on the test, okay? A lot of times I'll ask you, you know, if a muscle has the word rectus in it, what does that mean? And it'll be multiple choice, okay? Or it might say a muscle that is circular would have the word what in its name, orbicularis. All right, so this will also be on the test. Now, if you look at your study guide, basically after all the bone information, if you go down here to the bottom, it says okay, right here, 25 specific muscles for the lab test. Be able to identify them. Okay, I'll show you a picture. Muscles highlighted. You just find that muscle in the PowerPoint, you're good to go. That's easy. But number 2 there on the lecture test, if I describe the muscle, you can pick which one I'm talking about. You know, I may describe the appearance, I may describe the location. And just like some of the bones have like common names, so do some of the muscles. You know, you got the smiling muscle, the swimmer's muscle, things like that. And so you're gonna you know see that when we get into muscles on Thursday. And then there's the muscle words and the meanings. There's 23 muscles on the homework assignment. Know the meaning of each. And so we'll start on muscles on Thursday. Okay. And so just start thinking about muscles. Go ahead and, you know, keep working on your bones, obviously. And if you haven't turned in that take home part of exam 2, that's due tonight. So make sure you turn that in before 11:59 tonight. Otherwise, we're good for today. If you don't have any questions, then you're good to go. If you have questions, then now's the time to ask.
I do have a question about our finals.
Yes.
What might we expect when finals come on our finals test?
It'll be half old information comprehensive. And what that means is there'll be questions from previous tests. So half of it are questions you've already seen. And then the other half will be new information on the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about that. You're going to be well prepared for the final because, you know, we're going to do the nervous system the last few weeks. You're going to have study mate. You're going to have practice quizzes. You're going to have a Kahoot game. All right. And then you're going to have a week off prior to finals. They call it dead week that you're going to be able to study. So yeah, I don't think the final is going to be that bad for you guys either. I think you're kind of in you're kind of in the downslope of the class, I think. Meaning that if you have a good grade now, you should be fine for the rest of the semester. You still got to do what you got to do, right? But you got an open note test coming up, so that shouldn't be a problem. Those homework assignments aren't hard either, and I don't think the final's that bad because you'll have you'll have plenty of resources and you'll have plenty of time to prepare for it.
Gotcha. So it wouldn't be an open note final
No,
exam like last semester.
no, because we talked about that. Because you have that week off, and we kind of had to even it out a little bit. But no, you'll have that week off to prepare. So, I mean, it won't be open notes, but you'll have the practice quizzes and everything else. You'll be fine. No problem.
It's micro that really scares me at this point.
Yeah, well, you're the first semester to ever have a dead week. We've never done that before. So, use that to your advantage, and having that week off and everything. But yeah, micro's a tough class. I've never taught it personally, but I've always heard that it's micro. It is what it is.
It's fascinating, but it's
a lot of bacterial names and what they do. And, there's a lot of microorganisms out there.
there's just so much content. It's interesting content, but we're condensing and shoving it past us at a very fast pace.
Yeah, and I always tell students that the classes like these where we do cover a lot, it's basically just getting you prepared for future classes, because nursing. Didn't you say you were going into nursing?
Yes, sir.
It's fast paced like that too. You learn a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. So all we're doing is just kind of getting you prepared and getting you used to it. Now, once again, you can have an idea in my class, and I think you're doing very well in the class, right, Caleb? So when you get closer to the final, you can kind of have an idea. I can help you with that of how well you have to do on my final to keep your A. You know what I mean? And so, ideally for you, because you're doing so well in my class, if you can really build up your grade, then you can kind of put my class aside and focus on micro. You know what I mean? Knowing that you don't have to do, you don't have to get like a 98% on the final to get an A in the class. And I can help you out with that. You know what I mean? As we get closer to the final, and once I grade everything, then I can say you need basically this on the final, and then you can kind of plan accordingly. And you might want to focus more on micro for the rest of the semester because you're doing so well in my class. Yes.
Yeah, micro is my lowest. It's a B.
That ain't bad at all. Yeah.
But with averages, that can change at any time. One bad
Right.
grade and
Yeah, you sound like you're kind of a perfectionist, is what I was. I had to get an A. I had to get an A in every single class, and when I would take a test, it wasn't the 99 questions I got right it was a one question I got wrong that would just irritate me.
Precisely. And how many
Yeah.
times did you burn yourself out doing that?
Yeah, and what I used to do too is, when I worked, when I worked and went to school, I would always schedule the day off after finals because I would push myself so hard, and I would stay up, studying, and then I would schedule the day off after finals and just sleep. So yeah, you kind of put yourself, you do what you have to do. But yeah, sometimes I would worry about kind of overdoing it, because you can't overstudy. I mean, it gets to the point where you're just like, I can't read this anymore. I've done all I can. As long as you're okay with that. And I kind of had to adopt that attitude as a student. Like I'm literally doing the best I can. I can't do any better. I can't study anymore. And so I'll see how it goes. And it usually went pretty well. But having that drive is a good thing. Don't ever think that's a bad thing. You just gotta think about, if I read this one more time, is it really gonna make a difference or not?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, personal question. What do you do with working out? Where do you find time to work out?
I don't right now. That's why I've gained weight. You do I would do, if you're one of those people that are only finding time here and there, do the high intensity workouts. I have like it's called perfect push up. It's like these little, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's like this little disc that you
I've seen
put on the
those.
ground, and you do push ups, and it's like a 2-minute exercise. You're supposed to do like 20 push-ups followed by 12, followed by 8. And you're supposed to get them all done within like a 2-minute span. And I do that like 3 times a day. So I just find 2 minutes to, grab those, do those real quick. But yeah, the high intensity interval training type stuff where you can kind of go balls to the wall for 5-10 minutes. Those are the way those are what I have to do right now. And the good thing about me now is I don't have my time isn't that crunched as you guys are. I don't know if you work, but when you work and go to school and all that at the same time, it really, really is hard to find time to do something. So yeah, try to find those like devices you can use that kind of do quick blasts of activity. Because I have an elliptical machine. I ain't kidding you. It's a little machine that I just kind of walk in place while watching TV. I can walk in place for an hour and a half and gain weight. And I'm like, that don't make any sense. And so, but a lot of times when you do bursts of activity, there's a lot of look it up. I don't know if you know anything about high intensity interval training. But basically, you don't have to do exercising for an hour and a half. You do bursts of activity, like 20 seconds of hard, intense activity, rest for 20 seconds, go balls to the wall again for 20 seconds, rest for 20 seconds. And a lot of times that's more effective than walking for 3 hours. A quick burst of activity.
No, I'll look into it.
Yeah, high HIIT, high intensity interval training.
If you're still working out like that, that's weird that you're still gaining.
Well, I don't go to sleep till 3 in the morning, and I have to take my medicine to go to sleep. I have to eat, so I always eat at 3 in the morning, and I just sit here in my bed, while I'm working. Even little things like when I worked at the school, I'd be standing up, I'd be walking up and down stairs. I don't do any of that here, and so I'm actually fired up about the fact that I can go outside and do yard work. Like before class today, I weeded the backyard. That's like my exercise for right now. Just I have to do it anyways, and so I usually lose a lot of weight when I start working outside and sweating a lot and picking up rocks and throwing them and digging holes for my garden and all that good stuff. So I'm actually happy to get back outside and start working again.
The thermal effect.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm very happy that today was a really nice day. So yeah, I went out there and weed eated, and I think I also did keto last year, and that I lost some weight there. I haven't went back to that yet. That's probably something I should get back into too. But yeah, I think just poor diet, eating quick things because I don't have much time, and then my sleep schedule is all messed up right now. I'll stay up till 3 in the morning and take naps in the middle of the day, and it's just all messed up. And that's a trade-off. As a teacher, I always know that that's the case. During the semester, I'm going to be super duper busy, but then I have all that time off, and so once finals hit, I'll have basically 3 months off, and that's when I can really lose that weight again. I always fluctuate. My wife and me laugh about it all the time. I always gain like 15 pounds, and then once the summer hits, I lose it again. And it's just every single year I go through that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
At least you get it back off.
What's that?
At least you get it back off.
Yes. Hopefully. I'm 41 now, so I'm sure it's going to be harder. So we'll see. But yeah, I was down to 200 last August, right before school started. I was down to 200, and right now I'm about 220. So I've gained about 20 pounds, and then hopefully I can lose it back this summer.
Yeah, you could lose that in 3 months.
What's that?
You could lose that healthily in 3 months.
Yep, and then I'll just start again next year.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, no problem, man. Have a good one. I'll see you on Thursday.
See you Thursday. No.
All right, man.